Yo, what is up, everyone? Back here with another video. Today we're going to be going over the best Raikou sets, kind of also a Raikou guide, talking about the Mon in general. Mon's kind of broken right now. By broken, I mean like it's everywhere, and it's actually like really, really strong. Raikou pretty much is like one of those Pokemon that fills a really good niche in the format, specifically being a very strong electric type, or very strong and fast electric type, I guess. It like has a lot of tools on it. Let me actually brighten myself up a little bit. I think I was a little too dark there. But yeah, pretty much Raikou is just a really fast electric type. It has access to a lot of different move sets and a lot of different things it can do. So pretty much the two typical Raikou sets that you're going to see are actually the Specs Raikou set um, and the Screens Raikou set. So pretty much two different sets that Raikou likes to use. It's pretty much in contention for the best electric type right now. I think it actually probably is the best electric type right now. If we look at its usage in the previous Victory Road tournament, I know I'm referencing this a lot, but this is our main tournament that we really have the reference for like a lot of these videos at the moment. It's actually like 29% usage, which doesn't sound like the most, but if you think about it, like that's like 29% teams. That's like pretty common, like 30%. Like it's a good chunk of pretty much appearances. So it's something that you definitely have to respect. Raikou 2 is just a really strong mon in general. I think it actually does a really good job into the metagame, especially because it kind of matches up okay in the Scissor. Like it won't get clapped by like Bullet Punch. It can snarl down Cresselia. It can Thunderbolt Togekiss. It has good neutral hits on pretty much everything in the format. Um, and I think that makes it like a really nice valuable tool. Also, screens are like a very limited resource because very little Pokemon can actually run them effectively. So it's actually a really nice option to have as a whole. So pretty much the first thing I wanted to go into when we were discussing Raikou was talking about its usage, which we just did. Then I wanted to show how many were in the top 8 cut of Victory Road, and then getting into the actual sets you can utilize with it. So Raikou pretty much is one of those Pokemon that appear on certain compositions. It's usually best with screens. So basically, teams that have light screen, reflect, and then has the bulky Gastrodon, Tyranitar, Arcanine, and what was the last? Scissor Core. So pretty much being able to put in a lot of pressure that way. And you'll see that's kind of the case with like Raikou being on this team with the core I just mentioned plus Tangrowth, being on this team with Rain, right? Which kind of makes sense because you have it next to Arcanine and like Scissor, kind of keeping them bulky and fat. And then you have it on this team. So the one other thing that it can be utilized for, if not for screens, is Specs, which I believe one of these was. I'm not sure which one it was, but I know one of them was Specs. Marcus was using screens as well next to a bulkier Rain variant, and then obviously that was pretty much it for the appearances of Raikou. But the main takeaway from it is that Raikou is basically a very, very good screen setter, and it can put in a lot of work that way, and it's definitely a worthwhile Pokemon to really invest time into looking into, I think, and it can fit on a lot of teams, right? In any format, electric coverage is really good, and I think this is most evidently shown through Regieleki being the best electric type besides Thundurus in the format. And Regieleki kind of offers itself as like one of the fast Electro Web, like Mons, and then Thundurus offering itself as like almost speed control. And the nice thing about Raikou that it does differently is it's not only it's fast, but it can be faked out. And it also can go for snarls, set up light screen. It has a lot of utility basically. And if we look at it in terms of Battle Festival doubles, Raikou is not too high on usage, but I definitely think the usage will reflect more as we go into the next month of it. I'm trying to see where I feel like it's higher than this, right? And like there we go. It's like 10% now on like actual Picolytics usage, but I think the usage is gonna be very different going into the second month. So I would definitely see Raikou picking up in popularity. So I'm gonna be taking you guys through two different sets. If you guys don't know, on Patreon I have all the sets up for these Pokemon on there, and also to there's like teams that I use everything for tournaments up there. So I'll be kind of leaving all the information up on there. Also, to if you guys are curious to see me actually using Raikou, I actually had a best of 3 versus Aaron, which was yesterday's video, so you guys can check that out as well. Was super fun best of 3 and like kind of showed off why Raikou is pretty useful. So yeah. But pretty much going into the first set, the screen set. So basically you want to run Light Clay on this Raikou, pretty much being able to set up screens for the remainder of the game, being able to go for Light Screen, being able to go for Reflect, and then you have Snarl as well as a support move. Sometimes these Raikous opt to run Volt Switch, and sometimes they'll forego Light Screen and run a different move. Personally, I think you want both screens, and I think you want Snarl for sure. I think Thunderbolt is really useful I don't really recommend Volt Switch because it kind of forces you to swap out, and there are some instances where you just want to stay and use the electric move. Hard swapping is always an option, so it's not really that big of a deal. Um, the other nice thing too with Raikou is like, even though its stats look kind of weird, like its HP and special defense is high enough where even if you invested a little into defense, it could compensate. And also too, like its special attack and speed are pretty high, right? So like you can do a lot with Raikou, and this kind of goes into its second set, which is actually the Spec set. Spec's Raikou actually hits really hard, and it's kind of shown through its usage, right? It actually has a decent amount of usage, or at least had a decent amount of usage in the Victory Road tournament, because I had actually encountered a few during my Swiss run, and it was pretty strong. I mean, Spec's Thunderbolt from Raikou is no joke, and because it's so fast, it kind of reminds me of Regieleki in a way, just like a little bit less strong. Basically being able to be like a fast Thunderbolt, you can't fake it out, you can't really stop it, fast Volt Switch, which is really useful. And then having Spec Scald as well is really good into things that would normally check it. So for example, ground types that would normally check you, something like Mamoswine, you even have the potential of burning it. You can go for like Choice Spec Snarls, which does a good chunk of damage, into Cresselia and Latios. So definitely a lot of good options there, and something that I would definitely consider. So that's pretty much it for the actual Raikou sets. So now we can actually get into talking about the things that directly check Raikou, or like Raikou can have trouble with. So first, basically public enemy is Gastrodon. Gastrodon's on a lot of teams right now, and Raikou basically gets completely walled by it. Very little Raikou can do to deal with it. Sorry, I want to take a sip of water there. Yeah, it's pretty rough. Also, Garchomp, not so great for it. You do have the option of going for a Scald and potentially burning it, but realistically, you're not doing that much damage. Garchomp's gonna live, probably gonna kill you. If we look into some other checks that are like actually on this main metagame list, the other check that I would say is pretty decent versus it is actually going to be so like Latios is kind of in the middle spot because you can snarl it, but you don't really have any good coverage to hit it. So Latios is like a soft check. I just wanted to note that. Breloom basically hard walls you, so Breloom's like actually really annoying because you can Thunderbolt it, but like it's a grass type, right? And then you can go for a Snarl, but it's a grass fighting type, so you're not really doing too much to it. You can't really break too much. It's not really doing enough. Then, as we continue down, the main thing that you're going to encounter beyond that is pretty much Mamoswine. Rotom Mow kind of counts, and Rotom Heat kind of counts, but like those are very low, infrequent usage. And then as you continue down, obviously there are going to be other things that deal with it, but I would say like those are the main threats that you'd want to deal with, right? So like Rotom Heat and then Rotom Mow, you know, like kind of those random grass types that can kind of annoy you. So those are the main ones that I would probably keep an eye out for. Now, when it comes to the things that Raikou can check really well, Raikou basically checks, and I'll go through the whole list for you guys. Let me actually get the usage up so I can tell you. Raikou is really good at checking Togekiss because it's able to go for Thunderbolts. It matches up pretty neutrally in the Scissor, but it's not weak to Bullet Punch, so it's able to get a good chunk of damage with Thunderbolt. It can snarl down Cresselia. I'm not going to count that as a full check, but it can annoy it. I'd say it's really good into Politoed and into Rain specifically. Even though Ludicolo technically hits it neutrally, I feel like you're able to go for a lot of free Snarls, Pelipper, and so down the list. So I'm going to name a couple that it can just directly check. Pelipper being one of them. Then we'll have Togekiss here. And then we'll have a Azumarill here, which is popping up a little bit more in usage. And then for the final one, we have Politoed and Gyarados, right? So obviously the water types are the main thing it's going to be able to check directly. However, it can go for Snarls and annoy a bunch of other things. It's not always meant to directly kill anything either. It's kind of meant to be there and disrupt the opponents, and that's pretty evident through like the screen set, right? So you're less focused on damage and more so on like building up a stronger endgame for yourself where you're not taking too much damage. But yeah, Raikou checks these Pokemon. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of like the Pokemon that checks. And then obviously neutrally it matches up well into a lot of compositions. Basically being able to set up screens and put in a lot of work in that regard. So it's a super cool Pokemon. I think it's something to keep an eye on for the remainder of the format, and something that I would definitely consider utilizing more. It's a really nice Pokemon. It fits on a lot of teams. I mean, it fits on Rain, it fits on, you know, it fits with screens. Like, there's a ton of compositions that use it well. Even, like, the composition I used versus Aaron had Raikou on it because you could utilize screens. So, I think there's a lot of potential for this Mon. I would expect it to be one of the most meta, if not, like, the most meta Pokemon out of everything, right? So pretty much expect that Mon to pop off. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what comes from it. I think it's really cool that Raikou, out of everything, is like really good, and it's like the best electric type in the format. I think it's super cool that's getting usage. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it being used more and kind of getting an idea of what, you know, is coming next for the metagame. So once again, guys, if you enjoy these kind of videos, make sure to let me know in the comments. Make sure to let me know what kind of videos you guys would like to see next. I'm away on vacation this weekend, but videos should be going up as normal. If otherwise, I always update in like my Discord, and I update on like Twitter and everything, and also I stream on Twitch when I'm around, so make sure to check those out. But once again, guys, thank you for all the support. Thank you to all my patrons who support me there as well and help me to continue to make this content, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.